The night was supposed to end with celebration, but the sound of gunfire shattered the joy, turning a wedding into a scene of horror. In the heart of Wang Nam Keo, nestled in the tranquility of northeastern Thailand, a wedding was set to unfold, a promise of joy under the stars. Chaturong Suksuk, at 29 years old, had lived a life marked by both triumph and tragedy. Once a Marine with the Thai Army, his service ended when a train accident claimed his right leg. This loss did not define him. Instead, Chaturong transformed his adversity into strength, becoming a para-athlete known for his prowess in swimming. His silver medal from the ASEAN Para Games was a testament to his physical skill and indomitable spirit. Kanchana Pachunthuek, 44, met Chaturong 3 years before this fateful night. She was a woman of warmth and resilience, working in the local market, her life one of care for her family and community. Their relationship, though unconventional due to the 15-year age difference, was built on mutual respect and love. They decided to formalize their bond, choosing this night to celebrate their union among friends, family, and the close-knit community of Wang Nam Keo. The wedding venue, a simple tent next to the district market, buzzed with anticipation. The community saw this marriage as a union of two individuals and a celebration of love overcoming adversity. Laughter and music filled the air, the scent of local dishes mingling with the night's breeze. Everyone expected a night of joy, of dancing under the stars, of toasts to a future filled with happiness. Yet, beneath this surface of communal joy, Chaturong carried the weight of his insecurities. His disability, while a badge of honor in sports, sometimes whispered doubts in his mind, especially about his worthiness in Kanchana's eyes. Despite their love, the age difference and his physical limitations occasionally cast doubts over their relationship. Chaturong, known for his calm in competition, was not immune to jealousy or the fear that Kanchana might one day look elsewhere. As the ceremony began, Chaturong stood tall, his prosthetic leg hidden beneath his traditional Thai attire. Kanchana, radiant in her wedding gown, was the picture of serenity. They exchanged vows, their words a commitment to face whatever life would throw at them together. Guests clapped, cheered, and raised their glasses, unaware that the night's festivities would soon turn into a narrative of horror. The community had come together, expecting to share in the couple's happiness, to witness love's testament. But as the night progressed, the undercurrents of Chaturong's insecurities, whispers of doubt, and the alcohol that flowed freely among the guests set the stage for the disaster that would soon unravel, turning celebration into tragedy. The night's celebration reached its peak when an argument erupted between Chaturong and Kanchana. Their words, initially lost beneath the music, soon became clear to those nearby. Chaturong's face tightened, his eyes narrowing as he questioned Kanchana's interactions with others, his insecurities laid bare. Kanchana tried to calm him, her touch gentle on his arm, but her words seemed to stoke his frustration. The argument drew the guests' attention, their festive mood turning to concern. Whispers spread about the tension between the newlyweds. Chaturong, overwhelmed by emotion and alcohol, pushed away from Kanchana with a force that shocked those around them. He stormed out of the tent, leaving a silence that spoke volumes. Guests watched him go, his limp more pronounced in his agitation, disappearing into the night. His close friends saw the signs of an internal storm in Chaturong's usually calm nature. Some moved to follow but were held back by the sense he needed time alone. A foreboding settled over the gathering. The music seemed quieter, or perhaps it was the collective breath held in anticipation. As time passed, the guests attempted to resume the festivities, but the joy was marred by unease. Conversations turned to hushed tones, speculating on Chaturong's state of mind. No one expected the turn the night would take, but a palpable tension suggested something was about to break. The celebration continued, but the laughter was forced, smiles strained. An ominous feeling lingered, a prelude to the disaster that was moments away from unfolding. Minutes after Chaturong's departure, the atmosphere in the tent was tense with unease. Suddenly, he returned, his presence now dark and ominous. In his hand was a 9mm pistol, an object that transformed the wedding into a nightmare. The guests, caught in laughter or dance, froze as they grasped the reality. The first shot broke the night silence, aimed at Kanchana. It was swift, the bullet finding its mark, ending her life instantly. Her smile, full of love moments before, was now replaced by shock. Guests screamed, their cries mingling with the gunshot, creating a cacophony of terror. Kanchana fell, her dress stained, a grim contrast to the joy they had shared. Chaturong, driven by rage or despair, turned the gun towards Kanchana's mother, Kingthong Klajoho. The second shot rang out, and she fell, her protective instincts cut short. Chaos ensued, tables overturned, people ran or hid, some stood frozen in shock. Cornipa Manato, Kanchana's sister, tried to reach her fallen family, but the third bullet found her, stopping her in her tracks. The bond of family was severed in moments. Love turned to grief. The ground was now a scene of horror, each shot marking the destruction of lives. A guest, Thong Nongkunthad, was next, struck down while attempting to intervene or perhaps just by misfortune. His life ended in an instant, his laughter from earlier now a distant memory. Another guest was wounded, their scream adding to the symphony of despair. They survived, but the scars, both visible and invisible, would remain. Chaturong, his actions a blur of violence, turned the gun on himself with the finality of one seeing no way out. The last shot was his own, ending the rampage as abruptly as it had begun. His body slumped to the ground, the weapon now silent beside him. In those few minutes, the wedding tent had become a scene of devastation. Guests, some in shock, others crying or screaming, began to process the horror. The realization of witnessing not just a personal tragedy but a community's loss was setting in. Friends of the victims held each other, their celebrations turned to mourning. The human element of this tragedy was palpable. Kanchana, surrounded by love in her last moments, was taken from it. Kingthong, who anticipated her daughter's happiness, had her life ended in protection. Cornipa, who danced with joy, now lay still. Thong, a friend to many, was no more. Each life had its story, its dreams, now cut short. As sirens approached, the night's darkness seemed to grow heavier, a fitting backdrop to the sorrow that had just begun. The police arrived to a scene that contradicted the night's intended celebration. The wedding tent, once a place of joy, was now a tableau of tragedy. Bodies lay where they fell, the ground stained, the air heavy with the scent of gunpowder and sorrow. Officers moved with grim efficiency, securing the area, their faces showing the shock of what they encountered. First responders, including paramedics, worked to aid the wounded, their movements urgent yet careful. The chaos contrasted with their methodical approach, trying to salvage life from the wreckage. Their professionalism masked the personal horror they felt at the scene's brutality. As police secured the scene, the weight of the tragedy settled, laughter replaced by silence, celebration drowned in mourning. There was disbelief, a struggle to reconcile the earlier joy with the nightmare before them. Friends and family huddled together, seeking comfort in this cold reality. The community, gathered for celebration, now found itself in mourning. News spread, drawing neighbors and onlookers, their faces etched with concern and fear. The initial shock was giving way to communal grief, binding this night forever in Wang Nam Kio's memory. Officially, the police confirmed the deaths. Kanchana Pachunthuek, her mother King Thong Klajoho, her sister Kornipa Manato, and the guest Thong Nongkunthad were all pronounced dead at the scene. The wounded were rushed to the hospital, their fates uncertain. Chaturong Suksuk, the instigator, was confirmed dead by his own hand, ending his life as he had ended others. This confirmation brought a somber finality. The wedding tent, meant for love, now bore witness to vows broken by violence. The police began their investigation, piecing together the sequence from survivors, evidence, and the gun beside Chaturong. The night wore on, each moment stretching, filled with loss. The community, once united in joy, was now united in grief, their lives altered by one man's actions. As dawn's light crept over the horizon, it did little to dispel the darkness that had fallen over Wang Nam Kio. As dawn broke over Wang Nam Kio, the police investigation into the wedding night tragedy commenced. Officers interviewed survivors, piecing together the narrative from fragmented memories and horror. They learned of the argument, the jealousy, and the insecurities that had plagued Chaturong Suksuk. The gun, a 9mm pistol, was legally his, purchased the year before, revealing either premeditation or the capability for such an act. Interviews with friends and family painted a picture of Chaturong's inner turmoil. His disability, once a source of pride, had become a battleground for his self-worth, particularly in his relationship with Kanchana. The police delved into his medical and psychological records, though privacy laws limited access, seeking to understand if there were signs missed or help not sought. The motive, they concluded, was a complex mix of jealousy, insecurity, and perhaps a moment's madness fueled by alcohol. The community pondered how a man celebrated for overcoming adversity could descend into such darkness. Psychologists like Dr. Achara Jiraporn, who had worked with trauma in the region, offered insights. Such acts often result from unaddressed mental health issues, exacerbated by stressors like jealousy or fear of abandonment, she explained. This tragedy underscores the need for accessible mental health support, especially in communities where discussing such issues might carry stigma. Community leaders, including Mayor Somchai Pattaya, spoke of the event's ramifications. "This is a wake-up call for us all," he stated in a press conference. "We must consider how we support those struggling, how we educate about domestic violence, and how we manage gun ownership." The investigation highlighted broader implications. Discussions about gun control intensified. The ease of obtaining firearms, even legally, needs re-evaluation, argued a local activist, pointing out that while Chaturong's gun was legally acquired, the system failed to prevent this outcome. The event also cast a harsh light on domestic violence, often hidden until it bursts into public view in the most horrific ways. We need environments where people feel safe to report, where help is readily available," said a representative from a domestic violence support group, emphasizing the tragedy as a symptom of larger societal issues. As the investigation continued, reflections on mental health became central. There were calls for better services, for education on recognizing distress signs, and for community support systems to intervene before tragedy strikes. Chaturong's life and actions became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the thin line between love and destruction. The community of Wang Nam Keo, now bound by this tragedy, began to heal. Memorials were planned, not just for mourning but as a catalyst for change. Discussions turned towards policy, towards preventing future darkness on nights meant for celebration. After the wedding night tragedy, Wang Nam Keo was left to grapple with its communal spirit now shadowed. Memorials arose, not just as mourning sites but as symbols of resolve for healing and change. A garden dedicated to the victims bloomed with flowers in colors Kanchana loved, symbolizing life amidst loss. Local laws and practices saw potential changes. Stricter gun control measures were debated, with advocates pushing for better background checks and mental health screenings. Community programs for domestic violence awareness and prevention gained prominence, aiming to intervene before another catastrophe could strike. Personal stories unfolded, each one a narrative of resilience or trauma. Some survivors found peace through counseling, turning their pain into advocacy for mental health support. Others lived with their scars, their laughter replaced by silence, their joy by vigilance. The community watched as some healed, while others bore the weight of that night. Existential questions lingered. Could this have been prevented? Did society fail Chaturong, or was his path one only he could alter? The incident spurred reflection on human nature, on the dual capacity for love and destruction, and on the community's role in fostering the former and preventing the latter. Time moved on, and the wedding venue, once vibrant with celebration, now stood quiet under the same stars that had witnessed the tragedy. With the tent gone, an empty space remained, a metaphor for the potential lost in lives and in the community's future. This quiet venue, with its silent reminders of what should have been, became a poignant symbol of life's fragility and love's vulnerability, urging those who remembered to cherish every moment, learn from the past, and work towards a future free of such darkness on nights meant for joy. As the sun rose, the silence of loss replaced the remembrance of a night meant for love, leaving behind a story that would haunt Wang Nam Keo forever. Remember to like and share this video. Subscribe to our channel for more true crime stories. Thank you for watching.